Hello there and welcome along to another mixed martial arts conversation for Sky Sports. Looking ahead to more live action in the early hours of Friday, the 11th of December, Bellator 254, an event coming live from Connecticut to British screens. And it stars Ilima-Lei Macfarlane, who is headlining with a flyweight title defense against Brazil's Juliana Vasquez. Very pleased to say we can speak to Ilima-Lei now from our home in San Diego, just back from training. Ilima-Lei, great to speak to you for Sky Sports. Looking forward to this fight very much. How are you? How have you been? How's the year been for you?
It's been crazy. 2020 is the craziest year yet, but I'm just excited to finally get back in the cage and, cross our fingers if everything goes smoothly and we actually are able to fight. I think that will be, that'll probably be the best thing that happened this year is if this fight goes through.
Wait, how has it been during the year? Because everyone in the world has this uncertainty. Has it been difficult to motivate yourself to train this year? Or has that been a distraction from everything else that's going on?
I guess you could say it was very welcomed when I finally got the opportunity to start a fight camp, because I was not one of those people who were motivated during quarantine. I definitely put on the quarantine weight and my body was basically begging to just get back into training. So I was excited when I finally had a reason to, because otherwise I would have just kept doing what I was doing and relaxing at home, not training, not doing any physical activity. So I was just relieved.
What was there any positives to it in terms of that quarantine time? Did you relax mentally? Did your body heal?
Yeah. I mean, I actually, as far as my personal life went, it was really nice being, the last time I fought in December, I was actually, I was in the middle of a whirlwind romance where I met someone and we met a week later, we're like, okay, let's get married. And we planned a shotgun wedding and we actually had to cancel the wedding because of COVID. Wow. So, and then we were forced to quarantine with each other for the next year, basically. So
how did it go?
Yeah, it went great and we're still together. So I think that was a positive that came out of everything, that we got to really see if this was really meant to be or not. And so that was nice. Just being with my fiancé and taking a breather, where both of our lives are very crazy. Typically, if I'm not in fight camp, I'm traveling abroad, I'm doing commentary for Bellator. I'm always on the road. And so this was the first time, and he's a musician, a touring musician. So he's also always on the go. So this was the first time in, 5 years that I finally just got to stay home and do stuff around the house. I had recently bought this house and never got around to any of the projects. So now my house is I never want to leave it because it's really cool now.
That's fantastic. I'm not great around the house, so probably a lot of us could probably do with your help if you're good with that. Handy around the house is always good. Do we know your fiance? Is he a famous musician? We
know? Oh no. He's in the reggae industry, so I mean he's well known in Hawaii and in that island reggae scene. But yeah, I mean he's pretty. There's not a lot of 6'4" Samoan guys with dreads longer than his butt. So he's pretty recognizable in that instance. But yeah, he's not. I don't know if anyone up there in the UK would know him.
What's his name? Sorry, just so we know.
His name's Jason.
Jason. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. And is Jason been to your fight? Was he at the Kate Jackson fight, or was this his first fight by your side?
No, he was actually on tour during the fight, but it's really funny. So he actually hasn't watched me live yet. And he really doesn't like to watch my fights too, even on the TV. He doesn't like to watch it, but he's going to be one of my corners for this next fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, just with the restrictions of everything, my other corners weren't able to come out because, we have to come out early so that we can quarantine and wait for the test results to come back. And none of my other corners, they're running our gym back home. So they weren't able to take that time off. So I was like, all right, well, no problem. Jason will come out with me. He'll help me do the weight cut. I I prefer for him to be out there than like, anyone else really. So it'll be funny. He doesn't have any experience in the fight scene, so he's not going to be giving me instructions, but he's going to be keeping time.
Okay.
And he'll probably just be staring at his phone the whole time because he does not want to see me get hit or anything.
No. So, but you've got someone giving you instruction, have you, between the rounds?
Oh, yeah. So I'll have my two coaches, Bill Crawford and Boogie Martinez, out there. But they don't arrive till, it's really odd, like, because we have to quarantine for 48 hours. So I actually won't see them until the day of the fight because they arrive on like a Tuesday and we fight on Thursday. So yeah, they'll be there.
But that's okay for you. You don't feel unnerved by that situation. That's okay.
No. I'm excited. I actually like that everything's so different and kind of under the radar and just more like, okay, get down to business. There's no hoopla around everything. There's no like crazy media or anything. It's just like, get in there, do your job, get out, done.
Yeah, especially for you because last time out was Honolulu and the build up to Christmas, your hometown. But you relish that, do you? In a sense, was there more pressure last time? Did you feel that expectation?
Of course. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love fighting in my hometown. I love the Hawaiian crowd. There's literally nothing like it. There's nothing that can compare to that feeling. But would I want to do that every single time I fight? No. So I think it would be a good trade-off to like, okay, do a COVID fight and then do a Hawaii fight. That's just crazy. And then, back and forth. I just think it's a nice, you got to balance everything out.
Yeah, let's hope we get a Hawaiian party in the new year. I think everyone will be welcome with that. What about your opponent, Juliana Vasquez from Brazil, undefeated? What threats does she bring your way?
Oh, man. Well, she, she's a pretty phenomenal striker. She's had several wins by knockout, and what a lot of people don't know about her, because she hasn't really exhibited this in any of her fights, but she's a judoka. She's like was on the national team for Brazil. So this girl definitely has grappling skills, but I think she just enjoys striking and going for the kill so often that like she just doesn't go down to the ground. But yeah, she's very physically strong. This girl has like abs year round. So she's physically very intimidating. And you can tell when she hits that she really goes for it. She goes for the kill. She smells blood. She really tries to knock you out. So I think it'll be, she's a great matchup for me. She's also southpaw, which I don't often fight. So this will be, it'll be interesting going up against a true southpaw.
Yeah, anyone who looks at your highlight reel on YouTube will see some fantastic submissions, but you mentioned her judoka background. Do you then question how you approach it psychologically, or do you still want to take her to the ground? What's your mindset going in?
Well, I mean, I'm not super familiar with judo, but to my understanding, I mean, they're like wrestling kind of, like they're good at getting you to the ground, but from there, like
you may want to be there.
They're not very like submission based, I believe. I know like Ronda Rousey and everything, she had that arm bar. I think you can arm bar in judo. I'm sorry, I really don't know the rules, but I mean, they can get you to the ground, but do they have the submission attacks once they do get to the ground? I'm not sure. So I think I'm still confident. I'm still very confident in my ground game. And my wrestling background. And I still think that my ground game is the best in the division. And so, I mean, I would love for the fight to go to the ground, but it's just a matter of if I can get it there or not.
Yeah, and maybe she'll try and stand on her feet and strike, as you say. What about the general approach as you become a seasoned veteran, as a champion, 4 title defenses and counting? How do you approach it in terms of your mindset? Chris Cyborg told us recently that she sees herself as a challenger each time. That's how she tries to frame it. Is that how you keep the fire burning?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I say this a lot, but I go into every fight thinking I'm going to lose. Well, one, I always think that my next opponent is my toughest opponent to date. So I
Mm,
say that about every single opponent. That yeah, this is my toughest opponent, for these reasons. So I have that mindset going in, and then I also have the mindset that I'm going to lose every fight. I always say that I'm going to get knocked out in the first round, or like something crazy is going to happen. And I think what that does is it like takes a lot of pressure off of me.
mm.
And so I just go out there and have fun because I'm like, I accept defeat. And I don't know what that does mentally, but it works for me,
Yeah.
and it's been working. So yeah, I still think I'm going to lose this fight. Let's put it out.
So you feel kind of in visualizing a loss, you feel relaxed in that. It's liberating in a sense.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess, I even went so far as to visualize like my post-fight speech, should I lose, like, or like what I'm going to post on Instagram afterward,
What
congratulating.
would you say? What would you say?
Well, I was going to say something like, it's just, that was the end of that chapter. That chapter is closed. Now it's time to move on. Like, this is my first time experiencing a loss. And a lot of times, you don't necessarily learn the most from winning all the time. You learn the most from a loss, and how you respond to that loss, I think, tells you a lot about your character. So I mean, I'm not looking forward to losing, don't get me wrong. I don't want to lose, but I know that when the day comes that I do, it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, and it's interesting compared to other combat sports like boxing that MMA has more of a philosophical approach to defeats. It seems it's not. It's certainly not terminal for your career, and as you say, it could be the impetus you need to learn more.
Yeah, exactly.
What about the prospect of a flyweight tournament? Scott Coker has raised that. What do you feel about that potential? Would that be something nice? We've got a long-term contract in place for your kind of structure and format going forward. Would a tournament be good?
Oh yeah, I was totally looking forward to this tournament. I thought it was going to happen this year.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to happen this year, and then 2020 happened. So yeah, I'm still all for the tournament. I think it would be great for the division. I know we've signed a lot of new girls who would be killers for the tournament. So yeah, I'm all in whenever Uncle Scott wants to do it.
And would that be? Do you get choice of opponents in that scenario? Is that how? I can think Pitbull recently got to pick his opponent, didn't he?
Yeah, so that was really cool. They did the whole selection show. I thought that was really neat. Um, yeah, so I mean, I assumed they would do it like that because it seemed pretty successful.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, as champion, I would want like some kind of advantage. I think I would deserve that. I get the wild card, or the trump card at the end. So yeah, we'll see what they want to do. And of course, I'm sure it depends on what happens on December 10th.
Yeah, of course it does. What about other opponents? If there isn't a tournament, we saw Denise Kielholtz against Kate Jackson recently in Europe. Fantastic performance from her. Your good friend Liz Carmouche. Who do you think's on your radar?
Oh yeah, all those girls, everybody you mentioned. I know we just signed Vanessa Porto. She's another Brazilian former champion from Invicta. She's definitely a killer. And even girls that I've faced in the past, Alejandra Lara, like she's been looking amazing in her last couple of fights.
Hmm.
So I think we definitely have a really solid division right now that any of these girls could be in the tournament.
And Ilima-Lei, it's been a year, as we've said, full of uncertainty, but you've had a contract extension on the cusp of the pandemic. How good has that been? How much peace of mind has it given you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more so like, okay, 3 more years and then I can finally retire. But I mean, I say that after every fight. I tell my coaches, I'm like, I'm gonna retire the next fight. I'm done after this. But yeah, I've always I make a timeline, or I've made timelines, and they've never worked out.
Hmm.
But this current timeline that I'm on now, I'm like, all right, after this 3-year contract is up, then I want to start a family. I want to and maybe step away from fighting and start raising my kids. But again, none of my timelines have ever worked out. And I've always thought that I was going to completely stop fighting once I started having babies, but I don't know if that's possible too. I feel like I'm going to get the itch. So
Yeah.
Yeah, never say never. Who knows?
Yeah, it can improve your cardio, can't it? I think having kids, they say sometimes it can boost your body in some ways.
Swear, I've never been, if you haven't been able to tell, but I don't kick. I don't ever do head kicks. I'm not flexible at all. But I know that having babies makes you flexible because your pelvis breaks.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I can do head kicks after I have kids.
Yeah, that's a positive side of it, definitely, from having your pelvis broken. How do you see this fight going? You visualize losing it, but have you visualized a route to victory as well?
Yes, yeah. So I think my fight prediction is either I get knocked out in the first round or I submit her in the fourth round.
Okay, that's two options.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, great to speak to you. I wanted to quickly ask you, from a UK perspective, there's a little bit of buzz in the combat sports scene about a potential boxing match between Chris Cyborg and Katie Taylor. They're ladies that are very different sizes. If they can make a weight to make it happen, what do you think of that?
That'd be amazing. I'm a fan of both of those women. I never watched boxing at all, really, and like not even really MMA. But once we started, the DAZN deal, and I started, looking at more and more of their athletes, and then I saw Katie Taylor, and I'm like, wow, like this girl's a badass. I'm just so impressed with her. I love watching videos of her, and I'm unfamiliar with the weight classes in boxing too. And
she fights at lightweight and super lightweight, which is 135 and 140, and obviously Chris is 145. So I suppose they'd want her to come down a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see if Chris can make it. I know she cuts a lot of weight, but that would be incredible. I love that we're doing more and more cross promotions and cross fighting styles to our sports. I think that's really cool. So my coach has always said too that he wants me one day to do a professional boxing match. So
really,
yeah.
Did you love you love the submissions so much, but you'd like to just have a straight up stand up, would you?
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. Yes, why not?
Do you have any? I'm trying to think of opponents off the top of my head who might be. I'm trying to work out the weight classification.
Well, I actually I think me and Heather Hardy.
Yes.
Hardy. Yeah, and that's my homegirl. I love her and everything. And we've kind of like joked about it before, but I think that would be really cool. It's like two Bellator fighters. Yeah, we did joke about it. We're like, okay, we'll do a boxing match and then we'll do a jiu-jitsu match or something.
You could legitimately do that, whereas often the boxer doesn't want to come into the MMA cage because they feel unarmed, don't they, in that environment?
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, no, let's do a full-on boxing one. Then you don't even have to worry about, me trying to take you down. So I think it would be really cool, and it would be something that people would be interested in watching, even though we're definitely friends,
Yeah, she's quite outspoken, Heather, isn't she? But she's an inspiring character. She's been giving boxing promoter Eddie Hearn some stick online.
Oh man, I love her. She's such a badass, and she's just such a strong woman and hilarious. I think she's so hilarious. I know that she triggers a lot of people, especially men, who can't handle her her strong feminine demeanor, but I'm the biggest fan of Heather Hardy.
Yeah, she seems to stand up for particularly boxers, but MMA fighters as well, female fighters. That she's championing their cause.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Ilima-Lei, fantastic to speak to you. Really appreciate you speaking to us after training as well, and best of luck in the fight. Hope to speak to you in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Okay, well, fantastic to speak to Ilima-Lei Macfarlane. Looking forward to her headlining Bellator 254 in the early hours of Friday, December the 11th, UK time, live on Sky Sports. Head to skysports.com for more mixed martial arts content, and we'll be back again soon. Bye for now.